guys, this will be round 4 of the corner to corner in the round. This is how we stopped round 3. Okay, we slip stitch to that first block of round 2, to the first block of round 3 to create the last corner. So we are always going to turn our work to start a new round. Okay. Once you turn your work, we're going to chain 5 to start a new round. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Third chain from the hook, we're going to start our first double crochet into the back bumps of the chain. So into that third from the hook chain back bump, place our first double crochet. Into the next one. The yarn doesn't want to cooperate. And into that last chain back bump. That is going to be the first block of round 4. Just kind of hanging out there. So we're going to be turning our work as we are rotating our work as we do this stitch pattern. So that first block, you only needed 3 because we're actually going to rotate our work and join it to the block here from the previous row. So we're simply going into the 2 chain space at the top of that block, slip stitch it together. Go ahead and chain 2. Now, here's the first block of round 4. Get your stitch marker, place it into that first block. That will help you keep track of when you finish a round. Okay, now we're going to be working into this 2 chain space and building our next block. The next block is going to go here. So because we have a block to attach it to, we don't need to add an additional block besides this one, or add a block to this one. So we only need 3 double crochets to form this block. 1, 2, and 3 double crochets. Now, as you can see, here's the block we just created. It matches or fits right up next to that block from the previous row. We're going to slip stitch to the top of this block. All right. Now, we slip stitched. I'm going to go ahead and chain 2. We always chain 2 before we start those double crochets. Now, here's where we joined. We're going to add a block here. So see, it matches. Once we add it, it'll be right next to this block here. So we'll be able to attach it there. So we only need 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. All right, we've got the 3. It matches right up next to that block. Slip stitch into the top of that block, chain 2. All right, now here's where you're going to need a corner, 4 corners. We're always going to add a block when we get to the corners. So for that reason, for this block, we need a 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'll show you why. We're going to be adding a block here, actually here. We did 4 so that we can add a block here to match up against this one, because see this first one, it looks like it will, but you need an additional one for the corners. So just keep that in mind. Every time you get to a corner, you're going to add a block. So that first block will be 4 double crochets. So chain 2 into that 4th double crochet. Now we only need 3, because once we add this additional block, it will join up to the block next to it once you rotate your work. So now we added an additional block. So now this is going to be the first corner of the round. this one is probably a little bit tricky. You have to really concentrate on adding an additional one into the corners. So into that top two chain space of that block next to it, slip stitch, chain 2. Now, we're going to be adding a block here. You can see we don't need an additional one because we can attach it to this one. Same thing here. So on the sides of this blanket or pattern, you only need to do one block. It's only in the corners that you need to add a block. So from here on out for the entire blanket, you're going to be adding a block, and then single blocks, adding a block, and then single blocks, adding a block in the corners until you get to the end, because we already have a block there. I'll show you when we get there. Okay, because we only need a single block and not an additional one, double crochet 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now, this will match up against this one here. So we're going to slip stitch to the top of this block. So into that 2 chain space, slip stitch, chain 2. Okay, same thing. We put a block here. We are matched up, so we only need a single block, not an additional block. So 3 double crochets into the 2 chain space. We slip stitch 2. 1. Sorry that stitch marker is clacking on the desk. And 3. These meet right up together, right there. Slip stitch to the chain 2 space of that block beside it. Now that brings us to a corner. Okay, so remember in the corners we're going to add a block. So for that reason, on this first block of the corner we need 4 double crochets. So always chain 2 before you start into that chain 2 space. Work 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and you're going to be rotating as you work this project. Fold it down if you need to get a better grip or get it out of your way. All right, into, well, 1, 2, 3, 4. Into the chain 4 space, we're going to add a block here. That's going to be the additional block. So chain 2 before you do your double crochets into that last double crochet, 4th double crochet. We're going to work 3 double crochets. 1. This will be that additional block in the corner. 2. And 3. Remember, the chain 2 does not count as a double crochet. So you should have a chain 2 and 3 double crochets. Now we're going to just rotate, join to this next block with a slip stitch. And now you can see we created our second corner. So we had in a corner here where we added an additional block, then we had the 2 blocks in between, and then another corner where we added an additional block. So that additional block forms the corners. So now we're just on the sides. So all we need is just single blocks without an additional one added. For that reason, we're going to only do 3 double crochets. So chain 2 into that chain 2 space with 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, and our 3rd double crochet. All right, we're going to slip stitch to that next block. See how it just matches up? Go into that top 2 chain space, slip stitch the blocks together, chain 2. Same thing here, we're still on the side, so we're going to put a block here, and so we don't need an additional one. Chain, double crochet 3, 1, 2, and 3. See, it matches right up next to that one there. So we're going to just slip stitch to this block, See how that it fits like a puzzle piece there? Slip stitch to the top of that next block, chain 2 space, chain 2. Now we're to a corner, okay? Remember in the corners, we're going to add an additional block, and for that reason we need 4 double crochets for that first block of the corner. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, you're going to be rotating your work as you rotate your project as you work. We're going to do 3 double crochets into that 4th double crochet to create a block here, and it'll match right up with this to slip stitch 2. So for that reason, for this one, we only need 3 double crochets, so do our chain 2. You can fold your work under and out of the way. 1, 2, and 3. All right, let's flip our work back up. Now you can see when we rotate it, it'll connect right to the top of this block. Slip stitch into the 2 chain space of that block right next to it. And there we have our 3rd corner. First corner, 2nd, 3rd, and this will be our 4th, where we did that first block, okay? So we're going to be adding a block in this to the 2 chain space we just slip stitched to. Because it is on the sides, we only need to do a single block without an additional one. Remember, you're only adding blocks in the corners. So chain 2, work 3 double crochets, and 3. Rotate your work. It matches, fits right in there perfectly. Slip stitch to the top of that next block. Do our chain 2. Same thing, we only need 1 block here, so we only need 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Rotate that block, join it right next to that next one. Slip stitch into the top 2 chain space, chain 2. Now, for this particular corner, you know, you need 2 blocks in each corner, but because we already have a block for this corner, the first one we did on this round, therefore we only need a single block here because we already have one, so that will give us 2 blocks. So for that reason, we only need to do 3 double crochets for this block. 1, 2, and 3. All right, let's take our stitch marker out of that first block. Slip stitch the block we just did to the top 2 chain space of the first block. Now we have finished round 4. Now from here on out, you're just going to be doing exactly what we did on this round. You're going to be adding an additional block in the corners, and then you're going to be adding 1 block each time you do a round. Okay, so on the sides, you're not going to be you're going to be adding 1, but you're not going to be like doing a chain 4 and adding 1. That's only in the corners. Okay. So I'm going to get you started. We'll do a couple of rounds here because this tutorial is getting long. Actually, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to do another tutorial. Okay.